All right, good to see you guys. Appreciate everybody being here with us. I'm not sure exactly how many are here. I see a certain number, but it's awesome to have you here, and appreciate you guys all year. You've been fabulous, putting up with the inconveniences that we've all had to deal with, and certainly in the media world, they've been legit, and you've just been great, and we appreciate it. So. As far as the season so far, just a quick opening statement. You look back on it, and I would have to say, as a head coach and speaking on behalf of the rest of our coaches, very, very proud, and appreciative of the job that our players did this year. I thought our players were tough and resilient, and played a lot of good football. We had a lot of ways a young team, especially in certain areas, and a lot of young players really stepped up and played exceptionally well. And they did it without the benefit of a preseason or an offseason. And as the season went on, they got better and better. That includes our young quarterback and our rookie players and our young offensive line, the guys that ended up playing for us there, and same thing with our defensive guys, our linebackers, et cetera. So I'm proud of those guys. I'm proud of the effort. I really thought the coaches did an excellent job across the board. And then beyond that, the leadership in the organization was really just outstanding. And it starts with Steve and Renee Bisciotti. They set an atmosphere and they provide resources second to none in our league, and also emotional support and ideas and all the things that I think you could ever ask for from ownership. And then, Dick Cass and Ozzie Newsome and Eric DaCosta have been outstanding in every single way. And then throughout the organization, too many names to mention. People you don't know like Bob Eller and Megan McLaughlin and others that, Nick Matteo, others that step up and have helped us through this COVID and other things. So it's just been great. I thought our fans were incredible. Our fans got excited, and I just wish they could have been in the stadium, and more than that, just the one game, And we went to Buffalo, man. They got their fans in there, and not exactly sure they got 16,000 in the lower bowl, but they were loud, and it was just good to see fans, and to enjoy it. And our fans were just awesome. I know they live with us. I talk to them. I have a lot of friends who are fans, and they just they live and die with us, and they're with us 100%. And I just love our fans. So thanks to our fans, and then we're excited going forward. We're fired up to continue to build on what we've done. We know we're not where we want to be. Obviously, you're not where you want to be unless you win the Super Bowl. And I've been in the Super Bowl where we didn't win as a coach, and I know that's probably the worst feeling. It's even worse than losing a championship game, which I've won and lost as an assistant, with our teams, and then a divisional game like we just lost, and we've done that here in Baltimore before. We've won and lost those. So anytime you lose, even if it's not making the playoffs, it's kind of devastating because you put so much into it. And yet I'm really optimistic and enthusiastic about where we're going, because I'm excited about our young team, and I'm excited about with the pieces that we can fill in and the schemes that we can adjust going forward to make ourselves better, and we have a very good handle on what those things are. So some of those things I'm sure I'll share with you, and some of those things maybe not, going forward. A little bit like Eric and Ozzie do with the draft maybe, but any questions that you have, I'm happy to try to answer them as best I can, and this begins our journey into the 2021 season. Okay, so who's first?
All right, we'll start with Dave Ginsburg.
Coach, really, congrats on a great year. Final eight, nothing wrong with that at all, and you won a game in the playoffs. Moving forward, I know there's several things. In fact, you always like to work on everything, but if there was one specific area you could target to get better on your football team, what would that be?
Well, David, I'm going to answer that, but it's not really what you want to answer, because it's just not the way the sport works. Because the minute you're not working on one specific thing, you're working on every specific thing all the time. Well, it's a fair question, and I will answer it. I think that across the board, we have to get better everywhere, because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And as soon as you start thinking you've arrived, and we can talk about, our scoring defense maybe, or our point differential, okay? We're number one in the league by a lot in point differential and all things that lead to that. But as soon as you start taking for granted, then all of a sudden, you're not outscoring anybody. So, and that goes for run defense or pass protection or whatever it might be. But I think generally speaking, we owe it to our offensive side of the ball to continue to build what we're doing on that side of the ball in terms of our offensive line, in terms of our playmakers, in terms of the improvement of the players that we have, running back, quarterback, tight end, the receivers, the young receivers, all those things to continue to improve our scheme, and to continue to balance ourselves out. I mean, we've built one of the best, you could argue the best run offense in the history of football, in the last 2 years. You could make that case. So let's continue to grow that and build that, and then let's build up our efficiency, whether it's play action passes or drop back passes or screen game and all the different things that we can add to our repertoire there. So we'll be working on that very diligently.
Jameson?
Hey, John, I know a lot of people are wondering how Lamar is feeling, a few days removed from the concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the passing attack, Marquise Brown said, he wants to be more balanced in that way. What do you think as far as just the passing offense? What would be your priority, do you think, to improve in that area?
Well, as far as Lamar, he's doing well. I talked to him yesterday, and he has a concussion, so he's working through that. Said he feels a lot better. Definitely we want to be a winning offense. We want to build an offense that wins and scores points. And in a lot of ways we've done that. I think we're a dominant running football team, and we're a middle of the pack pass efficiency team. We're a lot better than probably what people think we are, and the numbers will vouch for that. And I'm not going to go through a bunch of different stats, but I got them here in front of me. DVOA and things like that. I think we're pretty good, but we need to be more efficient. We need to be better. So we need to protect better. We need to throw better. We need to catch better. We need to get open better. We need to do everything more efficiently. We need to improve what we're doing. And the better you do that, then the more success you'll have doing it. So I agree with Marquise in that sense, balanced in the sense of our success with it, and just keep building on it. So that's what we'll be looking to do. I mean, we might have, I think yardage wise, overall per game we were 32nd. We were also by far the team that threw the ball the least in the league. By almost 200 passes over the course of the season, over the average. So. That's something we'll be working on, and that's something that's important for us.
Jeff Schrebeck?
Hey, John. There's been a lot of talk about teams coming for your coaches and different assistants interviewing elsewhere. First of all, you expect both your coordinators to be back, and then do you have an update about some of your assistants that are said to be interviewing elsewhere?
Right. As it stands, we do, unless those guys get a late call as a head coaching opportunity. They didn't this year. I was disappointed for them in that. But, one thing that we talked about just amongst all of us as coaches and those guys in particular is that, things happen when they're supposed to happen. And, I would say in God's time. And, when the opportunity comes, it'll be the right opportunity at the right time for those two guys. And they're more than qualified right now to be head coaches in this league, and when the fit is there, and it makes the most sense, their opportunity is definitely going to come, and it's going to come out of the blue like a lightning bolt. That's how it works. So those guys are in a good place, and they're excited. They know they have great jobs with great players and a great organization. Then the other guys there's nothing I can really comment on specifically, Jeff, because I really don't know anything right now. It's we'll see where those things go. If those opportunities for coaches come up, I'm happy for them. I want them to advance career-wise if it's something they want to do. And we'll have those conversations in the next couple of days. Guys are interviewing today for different jobs that are promotions to coordinator roles. So we'll see how it goes.
Charles Walker?
Yeah, hey, John. Just following up on Jameson's question about the passing offense.
One of the specific criticisms you've heard from some analysts like Kurt Warner and Steve Smith is this idea that your route tree is somehow simplistic, I guess is the term that's been thrown around. Do you see any validity in that? And also, do you expect to do any kind of sort of ground up overhaul of the passing offense like we've seen you do with other aspects of the teams in recent offseasons?
No, I mean, I disagree with Kurt and Steve on that, and I love Steve, and I don't really know Kurt that well, but the passing tree, we run all the routes on the passing tree if they want to talk simplistically, the quote-unquote passing tree. We have every route in football, and we have every route concept in football. We throw it less than most teams do because we run it so well. And I know that Kurt would probably love to see us be a drop-back passing team that gets the ball out on time in a West Coast type style or a Greatest Show on Turf type style. But that's not the offense that we run. And we're not going to change an offense that, because it doesn't fit his eye, So, but we've got all the concepts. There's nobody has more effective movement passes and more effective play action passes off of a run game than we do because we've got the most complete run game and we've got all the play action and movement passes off of that. And all of our drop back passes we're not going to be as complex as a Pittsburgh or a team that throws the ball 40 to 50 times a game because we don't throw the ball as much as they do. So I think that just stands to reason. So we'll build the passing game around our players and our talent and around our quarterback and around our running backs and around our offensive line to suit our players to play winning football and to score points. I mean, I think we were the 7th or 8th highest scoring offense in the league last year. So we can talk about the other 24, 23 of those teams and talk about what they're not doing to fit somebody's eye. But it goes back to, and the reason I'm strong on this is because it goes back to the same criticism that we've heard for the last 3 years about not being the type of an offense or the type of a quarterback that some people want to see. And that's just, they're just going to have to live with it because Lamar Jackson's won a lot of football games here. And our offense has won us a lot of football games here. And we're not apologizing that for 1 second. We are going to improve it, no question about it. We're going to go to work to be more precise, more efficient, better at what we do. That's what we have to do, be better at it. And we'll leave the criticism to the critics. And when they're ready to, coordinate their offense and put their product on the field, I'll be looking forward to competing against it.
Aaron Kazinitz.
I see a lot of smiles. I like that. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Hey, John, this is certainly a question we'll bring up with Eric, but you mentioned Lamar Jackson. This is the first year he's able to negotiate a contract extension. Do you feel like it would be beneficial to get that done quickly, and how are you kind of approaching that possibility as you move into the offseason?
Well, I'm not. It's not where I'm not approaching it in the sense of the details of it because that's not my job. I'm not the GM, and Steve and Ozzie and those guys and Eric, of course, is Eric's point on that. They'll look at that, but they talk to me about it, and Eric and I have talked about that in other contracts. So I'm very confident that Eric and those guys will do a great job of looking at that. Of course. Absolutely, we want Lamar to sign a long-term deal and be with us, and I'm totally certain that that's going to happen. When it happens, that's the details. And that's what we got to figure out. I was interested that report came out the day of the divisional game for Lamar. Aren't there like 4 other quarterbacks that were in that class that are in the same circumstance as Lamar as far as signing extensions? All the guys that got drafted in the first round, there's 5 of them, or at least 4 of them that have been successful, right? So why wasn't that article could be written about any one of those quarterbacks? And as far as the reporter that put it out, he had absolutely no information other than just, sources. Well, all those quarterbacks are going to be in line for contract extensions either this year or next year. So kind of a non-news factor, but the timing by Rappaport was pretty interesting. I'd like to know his motivation on that. But that'll happen either this year or next year, I'm sure. We do have a tough salary cap situation this year across the league, as you guys know, because of the pandemic. Salary cap is unpredictable and it's probably going to drop right now. So I think the guys that negotiate those, whether for all these contracts, for all these players across the league, that's going to be a real question mark, how that's going to play out. So it's not my area. I don't focus on that as much as Eric does. Certainly Eric will be all over that, but it'll be interesting for all of us to see how contracts play out for players around the league with this salary cap drop this year.
Hey, Gilbert.
Hey, Coach. I'm curious as you go back to, and when it comes to evaluation of players, particularly the young ones, because in some ways you might want, I would think, maybe give a pass because they didn't have the offseason, didn't have the preseason, and maybe not judge too harshly, or do you look at it more like you judge because they fought through or because of what they went through, you learn more about them than maybe you could have? How do you look at evaluating guys in such a bizarre year?
Well, that's a great question, Pete. I haven't thought about it in that sense. I'm just evaluating them based on how they played, and you look at that and where they're at as far as their development and what they need to do to get better. So I've had conversations with guys, first and second year and third year guys, but this is what you need to do from now until April to continue to improve, and this is what we're going to try to build in as a football player and how you can help us and where we think you need to go and what you've done. So I think every guy's different. But I think overall, if you're going to put a grade on those rookies, you'd have to put a good grade on those rookies in terms of just how they played this year for us. But, they played like rookies too. I mean, there was mistakes were made even in the Buffalo game that were kind of rookie mistakes that you do expect rookies to make at some point in time. That's just part of the growth process.
Mark Viviano.
Hey, John. You've got the stats there in front of you, as you mentioned. Some remarkable accomplishments over the course of a regular season. Last year, 14-2. This year, 11-5. I'm just wondering your perspective on those stats versus playoff performance, and if it feels like your team responds to the bigger stage. You're on the sideline. You know how it feels. Do we put too much on those playoff outcomes versus all that you accomplished prior to it, and just how you kind of discern the difference?
Well, like we said, I think it's a good point, Mark. Until you win the whole thing, you're really a failure in the playoffs, and that's just the way it works. It's always been that way, and it's a little bit even societal, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Ohio State had a heck of a season, but people are saying that their season was a failure. I find that hard to believe, and in the big picture of things. But when you get to the playoffs, they're all winning teams, and if you're either going to go 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, maybe you go 3-0 or 4-0 and win the whole thing, But everybody's going to have a 1 at the end of that, except for the team that wins the whole thing. Half the teams, 16? How many teams are in the playoffs this year? 14, right? There were 12 that played, so 6 of them are going to be 0-1. Are all those teams failures? It depends how you look at it. But the point, I think, if you take a step back and you try to take the label off of it, and just like we had when we were building up to the Super Bowl in 2012, we just got to keep building, keep improving, and try to break through. And if you play, I know this: when you get to the playoffs and you don't play your best game, you turn the ball over, you make mistakes, you don't finish drives and convert, those kind of things. You're not going to win the game. And that's what we did. We didn't play our best game against Buffalo. We played hard, we fought, we competed. I thought we overcame some things, but we didn't play well. We had too many penalties. We had the big turnover, and we didn't finish drives. So that's how you don't win a game. And when you don't win a game in the playoffs, then your season's over. And that's the reality of it.
All right, as a reminder, just please, if you want to ask a question, use the raise your hand tool. We'll go to Jerry Sandusky.
John, as you now look to all the preparations in the offseason, mini camps, drafts, training camps, all that, do you project it as in-person, virtual, hybrid? I mean, it's the new normal, but what's it look like from your perspective?
Probably more virtual, but that's a great question for Eric and Joe Ortiz. And I'll be asking them the same question, Jerry. Just where do we go when? What's the Zoom call-in number, that I'm supposed to get at for this interview? But I think that most of the interviews, Jerry, are going to be virtual. I think that they're going to have combines, I've been told, around the country where guys will go and they'll test and do the medical, and we'll have videos of that to watch. So, your answer is probably it's going to be a virtual evaluation period. And, hopefully the draft is not like it was. I'd like to be – we have great food here at the building on draft day, so I'd really like to be here and get some of the good food here, but – my wife, she'll order something out, too, if we have to, so we'll be good.
Garrett Downing.
I want some of that ice cream on draft weekend, Coach. That's what I missed this year. when you this is typically the time where you guys do the off-season summit, where you go down to Steve's house, you and Eric and a few other folks. Is that something you plan to do this year, whether in person or virtual? And what do you see as the objectives of that meeting this year?
Great question. Yeah, I'm sure we'll do that. I think it'll be probably virtual this year because of the travel restrictions in Maryland and stuff, but I don't know for sure. We'll definitely do it, and the goals will be what they are every year, Garrett, to be on the same page with the big picture strategy of what we're doing, and then we'll drill into specifics in terms of the roster, depth chart, big picture strategy from a football standpoint of what kind of team we want to be, what type of players we have, how can we build around these players, a little bit of scheme, and then a lot of contract talk. I mean, there's always a lot of contract talk, which I'm always very interested in hearing about, in terms of what we're capable of doing with the resources we have and who we can bring back and what we'll try to do with that. And, Steve is just a great resource on that. He's always got a great big picture view of things, and he's always got good strategic ideas. And then, Eric and Ozzie and Dick and Pat Moriarty, always just supremely prepared for that meeting. So I'm really excited about looking forward to it, and it's always a good launching pad for me in terms of seeing what we're capable of doing and who we might be able to add. And then there's always the free agency. We talk about free agency, and we talk about the draft. So we'll definitely do that here, probably within a couple weeks.
Governor Schaefer.
Hey, John. I know you didn't have the chance to look at the film from Saturday's game when we talked to you, but I guess what stuck out to you about Lamar and what about that performance said where he is going forward and what he needs to improve on?
Yeah, I mean, all the little things that he needs to perform on across the board we're detailing out, and I mean, we have been every single day. It's not like it's a secret in terms of the football stuff. Just like every player, and Lamar's going to go to work on those things, continue to. I mean, he's a young player still, and he's going to continue to grow. I think if you talk to Brady and Breeze, they would tell you that their growth continues right up until the day they retire. And I know Brady works in the off season, and Breeze and those guys. So Lamar's, I think, just embarking on that. He's just starting on that and kind of figuring that out for himself. Like what's his method going to be, and how's he going to go about growing into ultimately the quarterback that he's going to peak at going forward. And I know that's kind of just general talk, but he needs. And the truth is, he needs to get better, just like all the players. But as a quarterback, it's the toughest position, and he'll tell you he needs to get better at everything. And everything that goes with playing quarterback, and his skill set, his talent is remarkable and unique. He's got a great arm. He's a naturally gifted thrower in terms. He's got arm talent, you would call it. He can run. He can extend plays. He sees the field well. Some of the plays he makes are just, I mean, we're wow. That's Lamar. How did he do that? He did that in the game against the Bills too. And I think those are the things that make him so exciting and dangerous. And then you just build the foundation with that in terms of the footwork on the drops. The consistency of throwing the ball and putting it in the spots you want to put it, and all the depths of the field and all the spots of the field, all the timing routes, all the drop backs, the different 3, 5, 7-step drops, the play action drop backs, the movement drop backs in the pistol, under center, in the gun. I mean, all the different routes that he throws on the proverbial Kurt Warner route tree that you mentioned, okay? I mean, he's going to work on all those, and with all the different guys in the spots and his receivers getting together with him. I mean, that's what quarterbacks do, and Lamar's no different than anybody else. I mean, he's going to work hard at that stuff, and he's going to improve and get better, and it'll show up in how he plays next year. So that's the most honest and direct answer I can give you on that great question.
Luke Jones.
Hey, John, you've expressed a lot of confidence in this passing game, really fitting your players really well. With that in mind, how do you prioritize a high-end, veteran, established wide receiver? Just use an example. When Anquan Bolden came in for Joe's third or fourth season, how do you prioritize that and what it would mean for Lamar and even what it would mean for Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews in the passing game? But also now being a few years into this, how challenging is it adding that player, knowing that from a business standpoint, a high-end wide receiver is not going to get the same kind of volume in this offense?
I mean, you just answered the question, Luke. I mean, the question is the answer's in there, and you said that's all the things that you got to consider with that. And then how does that value compared to other spots on the offense and other spots on the team. So it kind of comes down to who you can get and what they're going to cost in the end. And who wants to be here. But if we could bring an Anquan, quote unquote, Anquan Bolden in here, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Now, can we afford it? And what are the resources from other things that we need? That's the details that we have to figure out. But I think a big physical receiver would be awesome for us, and big target for Lamar, and it could be another tight end too, or a speed guy that could open things up and open the coverage up would be valuable too. We could use anybody that's talented and good, but the definition of the guy that you talked about, I think, is definitely something that we would love to add if we could.
Coach, I have to apologize about this one. Since he moved a dentist appointment, I guess we've got to call on Jerry Coleman.
Jerry, I don't understand the shot. I mean, do you deserve that from Chad?
No, I really don't. I did shift an appointment, and virtually every question I had was asked. Let me try and rephrase one. You've talked about revolutionizing the run game. There's no disputing that. You recited some numbers earlier. I'm not going to mention where you guys are in passing. You know where that is. And Luke sort of alluded to it. How do you convince a young wide receiver via free agency to join this team, knowing that their agent's probably telling them you're not going to get the number of catches and yards and TDs in that offense as you would somewhere else? How do you convince that person to come work inside the frame of your offense?
Well, you know the answer to that, Jerry. I'm not going to even worry about convincing anybody to do something. I'm not going to beg anybody to be here. I'm not a college coach, and I don't have to recruit anybody. You want to win? You want to win? You want to be a part of a great organization, and you want to be a part of a team, and you want to love coming to work every single day, and you're a football player and you love football. You want to play in the AFC North? Come here. If you don't, if you're all about stats and numbers and your stat line and how many balls you catch necessarily, and that's all you care for, then there's a lot of other teams you can go play for, and we'll be looking forward to lining up against you.
Morgan, that's it.
Hey, Coach. I know big picture, reflection picture questions aren't your favorite, but I think this is a good time for it. Just overall, going through this season, this pandemic, I think it's surprising for a lot of people that the NFL was able to get it done. An entire season is still going, and that's remarkable. What is your biggest takeaway, or how has this changed you as a person and a coach, what you went through?
Wow, that is a great question. And it's also fair to say that now's the time that I'll be forced to answer it as opposed to when we have a game coming up. So I do appreciate that. And I guess I probably won't be able to say it as articulately off the top of my head as maybe, if I thought about it and wrote something down. But I would just say it's been life changing. It's been priority changing. And if I say that, maybe it's something that everybody can kind of relate to, in their own life. But it changes a lot of things in terms of how we do our business. I don't think I'm going to be as adamant about guys not working from home. Just to say simply, a lot of coaches are working from home today, and I'm kind of cool with that. It probably would have been weird 2 years ago or a year ago to say that was okay. By the same token, I think I realize how much I like coming to work, and like being around other people and the social aspect of it, and really miss doing that, and miss the team meetings with the players where we would laugh and just be close to one another, and even the team breaks where we're together with our hand in the middle, we're all together. We were all separate when we had a team break. It's like it's just that, and the one thing I think if I could say this, and maybe I'll get in trouble for saying it, or I don't know, but the thing that I've always believed this, but really struck home for me is just can we just respect one another, and the fact that people try to do their best, and people view things a little differently than other people, and they have different ways of looking at things, or they express themselves differently. Like I was saying earlier, they play the quarterback position differently. Everybody's got talents and gifts, and nobody's perfect, and we just can't wait to point the finger and blame somebody for where they screwed up. I mean, how many times did they put on some website that some player or coach had their mask down, and what an evil person they must be. It's just like, I mean, wow. I don't know where we're going with this, but I hope that through all this we can, be tolerant and inclusive and just say, hey, we all have something to offer and we all do our best, and people do great, amazing things, and they make mistakes too, and let's try to just let's try to be a society that closes ranks around and with one another. That's what we try to do as a team. I thought the takeaway, Morgan, probably to your question is that the NFL found a way to do that in a lot of ways, and we'll still get criticized for it because whatever you do, it's not good enough, but got all the games in. And did a pretty reasonable job of staying safe from a health standpoint, and I'm pretty proud of that, to be a part of that, and that's really maybe a small takeaway in a big picture, but that's kind of my little bit on it right now.
Kirk McEwen.
Hey, John. Can you comment on the brief but impactful career of Mark Ingram? He seemed like a consummate professional from day one. Leader through and through. It's hard to believe he's gone after 2 quick years, but he'll be a Raven for life with fans and a lot of his teammates. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that totally, Kirk. Really enjoy Mark, and I think he was Eric had a good statement. I agree with everything he said, but Mark has been a big part of us. He's a very good player, very physical back. I remember when we played him the last time we played the Saints, and he was and you see a guy on tape. But then he ran up our sideline and hit a couple guys on the sideline and popped up. And, I looked at him and said, this guy is physical, man. This guy's a tank. And he also had great feet, and I was really impressed with him, Then we got him here, and I got to see it close up. But then the other stuff that you're talking about, the enthusiasm, the energy, the camaraderie, the locker room stuff, all that stuff was just so much fun. And he just brought so much life every single day. So the fans are right to feel that way about him, and we feel the same way about him. And he'll still play, I guarantee you. And Mark and I had this conversation. He's got plenty of football left, and he's going to contribute, next year and beyond in the National Football League.
Sean Stepner.
Hey, John. My question was regarding Steve Saunders and his future. Do you expect him back next year in the same role, or next season, I should say? And what was the relationship between he and the team and you guys after he returned from suspension?
Yeah, the relationship was good. It was normal. I thought Steve, Steve is. I guess it appears that he's the guy everybody thinks about, but we all had issues. Players and coaches and staff with the protocols at times. I mean, everybody in the league did when masks were down or guys were too close to one another, and every player and every coach and every scout and every administrator would be quote unquote guilty of that, which goes to my point that I just made a minute ago to Morgan's question. So I think that's the main takeaway there that I really believe having gone through this. So Steve, he came back and he was very great. He went to everybody, apologized to numerous players, apologized to coaches. He was really he felt really bad about it. And he felt like he just felt like he really just needed to make sure everybody knew that he just wanted to do better, and he just didn't want to put anybody in that position, and learned a lot from it, and all those different things. And I really appreciated him for doing that, And he went right back to work, and the guys went right back to work with him. They know he's great at what he does, and we've been a team in the last 4 years that has had, we haven't had a lot of injuries, and there's a reason for that. And our strength and conditioning program is a big part of that. And so I think he hit the ground running when he got back for the last couple of weeks of the season. And going forward, I don't plan on any staff changes unless guys decide that they have a better opportunity elsewhere. And I am looking forward to that, and then adding some different guys and different coaches, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those opportunities are too.
Todd Karpovich.
Chris, I think we're talking about the possibility and the beneficialness of young second-year players like Queen, Duvernay, Dobbins having those OTA minicamps in June, etc.
Yeah. It's funny. I guess I'm just speaking freely here because I really don't care after 13 years, I guess. But I think it's really easy for offensive linemen who have been in the league for 10 years or 12 years to say we don't need OTAs because they don't do anything anyway. Really, those guys don't. They don't need it. But the young guys, the young linemen, they need it, and the passing game, it needs it a lot. I mean, you need your quarterback and your wide receivers and your tight ends running routes, all the things that we talked about. It's fine to go get together on some high school field somewhere, and they'll do that. But to come in here and to get the timing and to work on we're talking about the highest level of a sport. In every other sport they get together for like 9 months, 10 months. Because those guys, you have to. And if we want to have a high level of play, then we need our guys, and they want to do it. Guys want to throw and catch and run the routes and everything. So my answer to that is a resounding yes. We definitely need the off-season program.
Jonas Schaefer?
John, you guys obviously made a lot of noise when you brought in Anik Ngakoue, but he only played in, I think, 20 snaps in that finale or that playoff game. Could you just talk about, I guess your expectations for him and how much you value him with what he gave you guys for that second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy, and he wants to contribute. We had a unique situation here with all the outside backers we had. So, I think going forward, if he chooses and we work it out and he's here, it'll be a little different because he'll be here from the beginning and he'll be starting and he'll be get a lot more snaps than he got than this year. This year was kind of more of a role probably at the end of the year. It's only like the second half of the season, so I don't think you can really judge it based on what you saw in terms of that. It was a little more of a kind of more passing downs, really. So, he's a great guy. He's a very talented guy. He plays hard as heck. He bought in 100% to what we're doing as far as, the different techniques we use, like setting the edge and things like that. And I love him. He's a great pass rusher, too, and high motor guy. So, I have nothing but love and respect for Jan and the type of player and person that he is.
Jimena?
Hey, hi, Coach John Harbaugh. What was your best memory experience this season in your favorite game? My favorite game was against the Cleveland Browns when quite intense rookies scoring touchdowns, Lamar Jackson comeback. How's Max Shirley, by the way?
That was right up there. That was right up there, no doubt. The Cleveland Browns game, man, that was a great one, man. That'll go down in history as one of the most exciting, funnest games ever, in the NFL. I'm quite sure of that. My favorite moment of that game probably was when Willie Snead said, "This is my time to shine," as he was taking snaps to go out there on that fourth down play. So, what a moment. And then, the favorite win, I think I said, probably was the Tennessee win. I felt like that was a great win for us, and quite a good statement for our guys. And that because that's such a good team and tough team, and I was very very happy with the guys on that one. A lot of great moments, so it's hard to pick one because there's so many days that you don't even know about. Just days in practice and meetings, and guys will do funny things, or you have some emotional times that you cherish forever.
Jeff Zrebeck?
John, I don't have the list in front of me, not to borrow a phrase you like, but the injured guys, the guys who had serious injuries, Nick Boyle, Ronnie Stanley, Tavon Young, are there anybody that you know of in the group that will not be ready for the start of next year? And can you give us a sense of just that with some of the primary guys?
Right. I did not get with Ron or Dr. Tucker about timelines exactly. My understanding is all those guys will be back for the start of the year. I think training camp, but I'm going to say that loosely. At the latest, I'm sure some guys will be back in the OTAs too before that, but my understanding is those guys should be in good shape across the board. That Ronnie and Nick had pretty serious knee injuries, so those are the ones that take the most time. Tavon, I see him; he's moving around pretty good right now, so he probably should be back for OTAs, I would think.
Jameson?
John, Matthew Judon, you had him under the franchise tag this year, and he could be an unrestricted free agent. How do you think he fared this year? I know you probably would like everybody back, but how much would you like to have Judon back as well?
I mean, I would like to have everybody back. Yeah, I know this question gets asked, and it's like, I want everybody back, but you can't get everybody back. But I want Matt Judon back, yeah. Whether that be possible, again, it's such an unpredictable year, Jameson, with the salary cap. Like, what's anybody going to get paid, and who has cap money? Like, 3 teams have really any significant amount of cap money, so we'll have to see about that. But Matt had a great year, all-around player, plays super hard, very good leader, awesome competitor. But he does everything well. He rushes, he plays the run, he drops. He plays special teams. I mean, he's an all-around excellent football player. So, yeah, nothing but applause for Matt Judon and what he's done. I was a guy, when I saw him play, he's playing for Grand Valley against Ashland was the first tape I saw. And I'm like, whoa, who's this guy? And then I looked him up, and I saw he's 275 pounds. And I'm like, what? And then I found out he had a bad knee, for the senior season. And he's done nothing but, we were right, the league was wrong on that one. So there you go. That's one of our successes. We didn't miss on him. And he's done nothing but, have spectacular success since he's been here.
Charles Walker?
Yeah, hey, John. The offensive line was sort of a work in progress by necessity for a lot of this year. As you look at what you have going into the offseason, do you sort of feel like you have the guys you want and need in the building, or do you think that's going to be sort of a puzzle that you guys have to keep working on, over the next few months?
Well, it's kind of the honest answer is yes and yes. I mean, yeah, we have the guys we need. We have really good players, and you saw them play well, and they're going to get better. So if we went into next year with the guys we had, we'd build a really effective offensive line. I'm quite sure of that. But yes, we want other guys too. We want to build the best players that we can in there. So we're going to be looking to do that, and I do believe that the offensive line is very important to us. It's very important to any offense. If you don't have a good offensive line, I don't think you're winning any games in this league. And your quarterback better be getting the ball out super fast, and there are some teams that do that. But it's very limiting to your offense to be forced to throw the ball in a 3 and a quick 5-step rhythm all the time. So, and not be able to run the ball. So our offensive line is, to me, a primary piece to what we try to do, and we need to build the very best offensive line that we can. And to me, it's a major priority. It's a major emphasis. It'll be a major focal point always. How we coach, teach, and how we build the personnel. Priority 1 for sure.
All right, Viv, we're going to close it out with you, so make it a good one.
Well, that's a lot of pressure. John, the Kansas City Chiefs are in the AFC title game for a 3rd straight year. You've played them each year. You're going to play them again next year. If you bother to watch the AFC title game, do you do so with the perspective that to get to where you want to go, that's a team that you eventually have to overcome?
Oh, absolutely. We haven't beaten them. They've beaten us the last 3 times we played them, and you kind of look at it like I think they're a little ahead of us in the timeline. So I don't know. I don't want to make this comparison, but you look a basketball fan. You look at the way it kind of went with you had the Celtics and the Pistons, then you had the Bulls and the Pistons and the Bulls, then you had everybody in the Bulls, and kind of taking over when they did it twice. But that's all. Some of our older guys, we know that, that's a team we got to beat them, and we got to kind of way to beat them. And I've already been talking to Wink, and we've been talking all year about it because we made a lot of changes to our defense after that game. I thought they did a great job of attacking our scheme that game, and had a lot of well-executed, real creative plays that they worked all through training camp and just sprung on us in that 3rd game that they executed great. And it was stuff that was specific to our defense. And that was a good learning experience for us as coaches. And throughout the course of the season, we expanded and added some things that took those plays away because other teams were copying them, because they had success with them. And in the off season, we're going to look at those. We've already had the conversation, Wink and I, about we already know what we need to add and how we're going to build it into our defense to just be as diverse as we can to answer. When you're a good defense, you get attacked other ways. People aren't going to just, if you're stuffing the run, they're going to just keep running the ball. You saw the Bills on that. So they're going to try the next thing and the next thing, and you got to have the next answer and the next answer, schematically and personnel wise. So that's I'm gonna have to put the Bills in that category too, aren't we? And then there's plenty of other teams in this league. I mean, how about the Steelers and the Browns? In our division are going to be challenges, and the Bengals have the quarterback, so you always look at your division too. So, yeah, Mark, it's a great point, and I agree with you on that.
Hey, Coach, thank you. We appreciate your time. To the media corps, we appreciate your time and patience, and we'll see you back here on Monday for Eric DeCosta.
Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate you guys. See you.